The Meeting, a modern time story of meeting God and the Archangels in the 21st century by Nardin. This is part 2 of the Time Wizard series franchise that I've been creating. And this book, The Meeting, is based off a true story that happened to me in the year 2019. And I am recording this in my apartment right now on 11/29/2021. And we're going to dive right into this for you. The Meeting. Hope you enjoy. If you do, smack the like button, smack the share button, and subscribe for more audiobooks like this. So let's get into it. A new perspective. Throughout this journey we call life, beliefs, people, seasons all change according to plan. There are good days and there are bad days. There are pleasant days and there are horrific days. However, the world keeps turning day in and day out with no stoppage in sight. In this journey of life, mysterious and mystical things can occur. So as you dive into the context of this book, I want you to keep an open mind to the supernatural. There are things I share in this book that I cannot explain how they happened, but they did. And I'd love the opportunity to share these exciting wonders with you. So, introduction. Page 3. It was the summer of 2019. I was working on launching a space burial service called Space Care. It was late at night, around 3 o'clock in the morning. The negative voices were saying to me, kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself, over and over again. Then they'd follow it up with, you took over space, you took over space, you took over space. Sean, nearly breaking this point, drops to the floor. Then an image of himself floating out there in deep space passing Pluto pops into his mind. Sean sees the image clearly, then asks, how did I get there? Then in an instant, like a flash of lightning, the rocket, the launch pads, and the dream of the company were born. As a result, I spent 3 months figuring out how to create this space burial service. I thought of all the possible rocket designs. I saw the purpose and the beauty in space burial service. And a few months go by. It's now November 7th, 2019. I'd be sitting on my space burial service idea for a few months now. I hadn't done anything with it yet. However, I was thinking about it a lot. I really wanted to launch this company. So I wrote out the whole plan on a sheet of paper, like how we would track each and every rocket that goes into deep space. We would have voice communication and live digital data of the deceased loved ones just floating out there, passing planets and stuff. Give them text notifications, updates on them. I wrote this all out the best I could. In that week, I decided to go to the Army recruiter and talk to them about the rocket creations. I was nervous, I'm not gonna lie. So I pulled up to the recruiter's office. I sat in my car for a little bit, but I finally mustered up the courage to go in. I ring the buzzer. A lieutenant or sergeant answers. Army recruiter, how can I help you? I go, yes, hi, my name is Sean. I was just wondering if I'd be able to talk to you about rocket creation. I don't remember exactly what he said. However, he did say I was on the right track. I went in and I kind of just handed my piece of paper to him and asked if he would read it. He read it. He honestly liked the idea. The other recruiter was wondering if I was talking about rockets to blow stuff up in space. I wasn't, so it was just an idea for a space burial service. I felt a little strange at the time. Then a few months before I actually tried to launch my space care program, I was jamming to Skillet's new album, Victorious. And I came across the Second Coming of Christ. I kind of related to it in a way. I thought all eyes could see me for a little while when I thought I had telepathy. So after watching the video, the voices started calling me the Second Coming after that. I played around with the idea a little bit, but I didn't fully believe it. There were a lot of things I hadn't done yet. Like, I'd play around in my imagination, seizing the dragon and stuff. Like, I'd basically pretend it was flying around the world, and I was either riding it or capturing it. It was just for fun with the voices. Then in one of my dreams, the dragon crash landed in the middle of the ocean and sank to the bottom of the sea. At this time, I was watching videos about the Archangels. I was watching a video on Michael, the Archangel specifically. I paused the video on an image of Michael. After 30 seconds or so, I saw Michael wink at me in the video. I was sitting there in my bed thinking to myself, like, what the heck? Like, at one moment in the video's paused. Michael's eyes had life in them. And then it went away. In a picture. It was really interesting. Moving on to chapter 3, The Gardener. A few days go by. I'm talking to this guy named Paul on Facebook. He was a $30,000 a month earner inside of Empower Network. He sent me some pretty wild messages and videos of our friend Dave. Dave was making videos and audios claiming to be the Messiah and that we should restore Jerusalem. Paul went on to illustrate the apocalypse may come, so I was kind of freaked out at this point. I didn't know for sure what was going on, so I looked in Dave's profile. I saw the videos and claims. I saw a dragon pop up on his shoulder in one of his videos. It was when he was pointing to an image of Jesus claiming to be the Son of Man. And then Paul went on to basically ask and see if I wanted to chill sometime. I was like, sure, but we never really set a date for it. So I was kind of scared though. Dave was a very influential person. I didn't know if Dave was Dave or not. And when I saw the baby red dragon on his shoulder, I knew something was up. So I went on to message the Get Me Famous Network about this situation. I also messaged Homeland Security about Homeland Security and the President of the United States about the situation. I felt a little weird just saying dragon spotted, so I emailed them all some ideas about the world and essentially how to save it someday in the future. And I ended up asking for a 1,000-year peace treaty between the United States, China, India, and Russia. I wasn't sure if I'd get it or not, but I still tried. So a few days go by and the naggy spirits actually went away for a little while. I was thinking about what I was doing and saying, and it felt a little wild, but the energy was so cool. Like at one point, I was pretty certain State Farm and I were going to strike a deal and create a partnership. Because I was messaging the media group about space care, space burial service, and I was telling them how I would create it and partnerships, and I was telling them how I'd create it and how I would create partnership rights for other countries if they wanted to explore the idea and its possibilities. And one morning, I woke up to a supernatural creature descending from the heavens with a sword. The sword penetrated through my walls and windows effortlessly. I sat in bed looking up to one of the most beautiful angels I'd ever seen. I fell in love at first sight. I called her Blade, the Truth Blade, because no lies could pass through it. I could tell she was here to help with what was going on. And then the twins showed up later that day. One was a fiery warrior, and the other had a golden lasso that the fire angel would portal through to the other side with. It was so cool. I was afraid the Archangel would have been harassed, injured, or disrupted by the negative spirits because sometimes they manifest themselves, but she didn't, not one time. Then I saw my friend Coop, who had just passed away, up in a heaven dimension, standing outside of some gates, riding a white horse. He had a big smile on his face as he was riding the horse. I haven't felt AJ, Alex Johnson, and my Uncle Bill's presence while this was going on. I felt their spiritual presence up there in heaven, of them saying, "Yo, Sean, we're still alive in a way," and it was like the most beautiful thought process I've ever had in my life. We spent a little while explaining to the native spirits the new dimensions of the abyss. I also talked about the location or place Satan would lay for his slumber for 1,000 years. I personally didn't want it to be too bad. I wanted a little bit of home feeling towards it. So we thought of a great house with plenty of games to play, a backyard, and so much more. At this point, my consciousness entered a new realm of existence and or creation. It was the most fascinating thoughts in the world. We were also showing the disrupted spirits where they would go if they continued to disrespect us like they had been in the past. It was a nasty place with different levels of pain and torture devices. It was nasty, truthfully. It was real nasty. I didn't want to show the nasty spirits this place or even throw them there for all eternity. However, it had to be done. And as the days went on, by nightfall, God floated down from the heavens and presented himself to me. It was an overwhelming feeling seeing him. He brought the Archangel with him as well. Raphael showed up as well. It was very interesting how Raphael presented himself to me. He was miniature and just chilling on the right side of my chest. And something really weird happened. Fair warning. The image, I was laying in bed, actually sitting up in bed, and the image of the dragon laying at the bottom of the sea popped in my mind. It was just resting at the bottom. Then the Archangel Satan extracted himself from the dragon in angelic form. It was super wild, and it was like God almost wanted me to seize the dragon at this moment. He floated around my room a little bit, like taunting me. He was miniature though. But not gonna lie, I gasped when I first saw him. He was like a little fairy in front of me. I was literally like, oh my god, there's no freaking way. The dragon's right in front of me. And God put him in a force shield that he couldn't break out of. It was like a green ball. After examining the force shield God has put Satan in, I thought of the idea for force shield technology here on Earth. Like, I saw Satan go into the sun in the lake of fire sometime in the future. So I started to calculate heat and gravity together, and I thought it would create some kind of mini force shield. I messaged the government my force shield idea theory, and some of it panned out actually. Our current views on how to create force shield technology require heating up an area in space, then manipulating its plasma particles to vaporize all incoming projectiles. I was pretty close to figuring out how to do it. During this time, the voices were going too bananas too. They were saying things like I was hurting them because my beliefs were so wild and bizarre, and the Archangels had visited me. I seized the dragon, I met God, and so on. So I asked God to tribute me if I was truly telepathic and I was hurting people's beliefs. I asked him to throw me to the sun. He didn't, though. Eventually I came down from those thoughts, and the Archangels, God, and all had a meeting that night. I did do a lot of the talking. I didn't mean to, I just did. There was a lot on my mind that night. I basically said I think a lot of people here on Earth blame Satan for things that he's personally not responsible for. I tried to, I didn't want the meeting to all be about Satan. I tried to make the celebration between the Archangels like a reunion between each other, because I wasn't aware of the last time the Archangels had all been on Earth at the same time, not in a battle stance, but more in what's going on stance. So it was really neat and cool, to be honest. Then the negative spirits at the end of the meeting, they tried to say God wasn't real after that, after I had just seen him. So the voices were really starting to piss me off at this point. I couldn't sit through their nonsense at this point. I just wanted to kill them. I just wanted to be able to believe my own thoughts and not get bombarded with nonsense. One tried to create a chant, a nasty, parasitic old lady who was a demon. She tried to start a harassing chant, and I yanked her out of my head. I thought I obliterated her, to be honest. It was like I extracted her from the back of my mind, I brought her to the center, and then I threw her away. It was a pretty powerful feeling. But I was super pissed off that the naggy spirits kept trying to continue a false prophecy chant. I'm sure the Archangel could tell it was frustrating. Quite honestly, meeting the Archangels in 2019 was kind of embarrassing to me in a way. I was fighting schizophrenia, and it kept saying over and over again that I was going to obliterate my sex life, and make my thingy, not work for the ladies anymore. They meant it too. That's the crazy part. They literally harassed me over 100,000 times, saying, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to obliterate your orgasm, haha, now roll over dead. I had to battle my way through this mess with no girlfriend at all, so. I was about to ask my doctor to provide me some Viagra so I'd be super horny and have no supporting evidence of their thoughts. However, I decided not to. It was just super frustrating, ignorant going through it. I didn't know exactly how to cope with it. It was if I had a crazy short-circuit demon who could see in my dreams and points of views. Then they would try and twist my emotions so hard. It was super frustrating. Quite frankly, it's embarrassing to even repeat. There's so much to be happy and grateful for in life. And all the voices come up with was, kill yourself. I can't wait 10 years until you're present to save the world. End your life now. It was just nonsense. So yeah, after I had thrown this crazy demon out of my head, heaven appeared above my apartment. I saw Death sitting up there on his throne looking down at me. I didn't want to bother him, so I was telling the other spirits to leave him alone. Don't call upon him, let him be. The spirits didn't listen, so I went to a gas station, and as soon as one would drop or stop, another one would pop up and say, someone just struck the doomsday clock. Someone just hit the doomsday clock. Somebody hit the doomsday clock. Over and over again for like 30 minutes. I mean, I drove around my car for a while that night. One of the main reasons I was fearful of meeting Death, the Archangel, at the time, it mainly came down to a couple reasons. I didn't want to bug him for sure, and I didn't want to seem weak, I guess, in front of him. But yeah, eventually when I was on my way back to my apartment, the world at the bottom of my feet changed like an end of the world scenario. I saw the whole earth blanketed in molten rock and fire, and the Archangel Death lowered a scythe down from heaven. I stepped on the blade, or either he struck me with it. Because when I got home, I was sitting in bed. I saw the edge of the blade being lowered down into a different dimension. I saw an image of myself going 4 billion years in the future and moving the earth with my planet mover idea. And I saw the naggy, granny old spirit, demon spirit, next to me in the dimension with the scythe. Then I felt the pow. Then I felt a really sharp, piercing pain shoot at my right leg, where the world got placed after it was sucked in my vessel. It actually hurt for a second. I felt physical pain for the first time ever from this. This time I was messing the media group trying to get my ideas heard and launched. And after Death had struck me, I told the media group, my leg got sucked in like an internet dimension. I stepped on like Facebook's internet platform. It was strange. It was like the internet got sucked to my leg that day. It was kind of wild. I don't know how to really help you interpret that, but that's kind of what happened. It's like Facebook, like the internet channeled itself through my leg that day. Then Twitter banned me on every single one of my accounts randomly for no reason. I literally got every single account I'd ever created banned. So for a little while I thought I'd just lost access to my promotion strategy. Then 1,000 years of peace came bursting out of my head, and I blasted Mark Zuckerberg's spiritual head on my time. It was like a green beam that shot out of me, signaling to Mark, shit, we might be going down. I don't know what to do now. My thoughts were racing, and Mark's head absorbed it all. It seemed like it did knock him back a little bit. Like when it first like erupted out of my head, it just went and it just hit his head, and this green beam, he like absorbed it, and I was like, whoa, that's so cool. It was really strange, but so cool at the same time. Like, it was an eruption. It was huge blast. And I went on for a little while. Like, I did a lot with the Archangels. I may have changed heaven a little bit, to be honest. I gave a human perspective on heaven and how I would like heaven be when we get there. So it was a really peaceful thinking for a time. I envisioned the Galactic Alliance. This is when mankind mastered deep space travel and meets our sister planet. Then we create the Galactic Alliance and rule the Milky Way galaxy together. It was a beautiful dream. And afterwards, I learned how to use my words wisely instead of yelling at the voices all day like I used to. I'd just say stop now, and they stop. Sometimes they would, and sometimes they wouldn't. You know, I'm planning on talking to a priest about my experience of meeting the Archangels. And God also helped me overcome the negative spirits with so much incredible imagination that just kept going and going and going and going. So, if you enjoyed this book, this short story on the meeting, this is based off true events that really happened to me in 2019. And I'd love to get your feedback. I'd love to hear your feedback on this. Like, does it sound wild? Does it sound cool? Would you want to experience what I went through? And if you haven't already, check out my Time Wizard book. That's part 1 of this series, where basically I first pick up thinking it's telepathy after my beliefs are officially inflated online, and I battle a time wizard, and that kind of relates to back to this book, where it's like this book was part 2 of that part 1 series, because I was thinking about making a movie out of it, but I'm still working on that. So other than that, I just want to thank you for listening to this audio. Listen to this short book. You are an amazing person. You are a great individual. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to sharing more about this, because there's a lot I did not put in this book about what happened. There's a lot I didn't share. There's a lot I didn't say. There's a lot I didn't mention, because it's like the time frame were too spaced out to be like, oh yeah, by the way, 6 months later, I'm like sitting there hallucinating, negative spirits are attacking me, and God shows me that I can follow the hallucinating thoughts and turn them in from a negative to a completely just ice cold positive thought. And it was the most incredible feeling how I can do that now. So, other than that, just want to thank you for watching this. If you leave some comments, if you have any questions, I'd love to tell you some more. And have a great night. Love ya.